Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen carefully. If this message has reached you, understand this deeply. Allah did not allow you to hear this by accident. For the past 3 months, your life became heavier in ways you could not explain. Things slowed down, people changed, prayers felt delayed. Your heart was tested in silence while the world carried on as if nothing was happening. But what you did not realize at the time is that Allah was testing you in disguise. These were not obvious trials. They came as patience when you wanted answers, dignity when you deserved apology, faith when nothing made sense, and self-control when reacting would have felt justified. You were watched not in public victories, but in private moments when no one would have known if you gave up. And yet, you did not. You stayed sincere. You stayed connected. You stayed standing even when you felt emotionally exhausted. Chosen one, these months were not meant to break you. They were meant to qualify you. Allah tests those He intends to elevate, and passing these hidden tests means one powerful truth. This season of struggle is ending, and a new chapter written by Allah Himself is about to begin. Chosen one, this was one of the deepest and most decisive tests Allah placed upon you. Because sincerity is never proven in public, it is proven in silence. For the past months, Allah positioned you in moments where your actions would bring no recognition, no praise, no validation, and sometimes not even understanding from others. You were obedient when it felt unrewarded, patient when reacting would have been easier, and honest when compromise could have protected your comfort. Allah watched how you behaved when no one clapped for you, when no one knew your struggle, when your good deeds were invisible and your sacrifices misunderstood. You could have changed your intentions, hardened your heart, or lowered your standards and justified it by saying no one would notice. But Allah noticed. He tested whether you were doing things for His pleasure or for outcomes, for His approval or for people's acknowledgement. And every time you chose integrity over convenience, humility over ego, and faith over frustration, you passed. This is why Allah values sincerity above talent, intelligence, and visibility, because sincere hearts can be trusted with divine elevation. When you remained aligned with Allah in the unseen, He marked you as someone worthy of greater responsibility, greater protection, and greater blessings. What you don't see yet is that the doors about to open for you require a heart that does not corrupt when seen, and these hidden tests were Allah's way of proving that your faith is real, rooted, and unshakable. Chosen one, the delay you endured was not accidental, and it was never meant to discourage you. It was designed to reveal the depth of your trust in Allah when certainty was taken away. For weeks and months, you waited without clear answers, prayed without visible movement, and hoped while doors remained closed, and Allah watched closely to see whether you would still rely on Him when the timeline disappeared. Many people trust Allah only when progress is visible, but you were tested in the unseen, where faith must stand on its own without evidence. There were moments when your heart questioned, when exhaustion whispered doubt, when patience felt heavy, yet you still said, Allah knows best. And that statement carried enormous weight in the unseen realm. You continued to show up for your prayers, continued to make dua, continued to choose obedience, even when it felt like nothing was changing. This delay stripped you of attachment to outcomes and anchored you to reliance on Allah alone, teaching you that provision, elevation, and relief arrive by decree, not by force. Allah was not withholding from you. He was preparing you, strengthening your tawakkul, so that when the blessing arrives, it does not distract you from Him, and when the next test comes, it does not shake you. By trusting Allah in the waiting, you proved that your faith is not conditional, and that level of trust is exactly why the delay is ending and divine timing is now aligning in your favor. Chosen one. Some of the most difficult tests you faced during this season did not come as hardship alone. They came wearing the faces of people. Allah allowed certain individuals to misunderstand you, provoke you, test your patience, drain your energy, and sometimes treat you unfairly, not because you deserved it, but because your response was being examined. These encounters were never random. Allah was watching to see whether pain would make you bitter or refined, whether power would make you arrogant or restrained, and whether injustice would pull you into ego or anchor you in dignity. You had every reason to react, defend yourself, or seek revenge, yet you chose composure, silence, and self-control, even when your heart was heavy. That restraint is not weakness, it is spiritual strength. Allah tests His chosen servants through people because character is revealed under pressure, not comfort. When you guarded your tongue, protected your intentions, and refused to become what hurt you, you passed a test many fail. These people were temporary tools, but the growth they triggered in you is permanent. Allah now knows that when He places influence, authority, or blessing in your hands, your heart will remain guided, your ego contained, and your soul aligned with Him. Chosen one, this test was not light, and it was not accidental, because Allah was examining the deepest layer of your faith, the part that remains when strength is gone, when clarity disappears, and when relief feels distant. Over these months, Allah allowed pressure to build slowly, not all at once, but in waves that tested your emotional endurance, your spiritual consistency, and your inner loyalty. You were pushed into moments where you felt unheard, unseen, and unsure, where dua felt heavy on your tongue, where answers did not come quickly, and where silence from the unseen felt louder than words. Allah watched how you responded when life did not make sense, when your heart carried questions you were afraid to speak, and when exhaustion made worship feel like effort instead of ease. This was not to shame you for weakness, because Allah knows human hearts grow tired, but to see whether hardship would disconnect you from Him or drive you closer. There were days when your iman felt low, nights when your tears felt endless, and moments when the temptation to emotionally withdraw from Allah felt real. Yet even then, you did not turn your back. You may have stumbled, slowed down, or felt confused, but you never severed the connection. You still whispered His name in private. You still turned to Him in desperation. You still believed that even if you did not understand the plan, Allah was still in control. This is the faith that passes divine tests, because real iman is not proven by constant strength, it is proven by return. Allah was testing whether your relationship with Him was conditional upon ease or rooted in loyalty, whether you worshipped Him for outcomes or trusted Him as Lord even in pain. Many people abandon prayer when pressure rises, replace trust with resentment, and let hardship harden their hearts. But you resisted that transformation. Instead of becoming distant, you became reflective. Instead of rejecting faith, you questioned while remaining connected. Allah values this deeply because it shows sincerity, humility, and reliance. This pressure stripped away illusions of control, false expectations from people, and emotional dependencies that could not support your destiny. It forced your heart to lean fully on Allah, not because you were strong, but because there was nowhere else to lean. Every moment you chose to hold on, even weakly, even quietly, even without understanding, was recorded as victory. Angels witness the servant who remains connected under strain, and Allah honors the believer who does not abandon Him when tested. This season was never meant to push you away from Allah. It was designed to anchor you more deeply in Him, to refine your iman until it became unshakable, not because life is easy, but because your trust is real. Passing this test means that your foundation has been strengthened beyond what comfort could ever achieve, and what Allah is preparing to place into your life now requires a servant who does not walk away under pressure, who does not trade faith for relief, and who remains loyal to Allah, even when the path feels heavy, dark, and uncertain. Chosen one, understand this deeply. Allah was not merely observing the outward actions you performed during these months of trials. He was watching the very essence of who you were becoming while performing them, because anyone can act rightly when conditions are favorable, but true character is revealed under pressure, in silence, in fatigue, and in moments when the world is blind to your efforts. Over these months, Allah placed you in situations that quietly stripped away superficial comforts, moments where frustration could have hardened your heart into arrogance, where misunderstanding could have fueled bitterness, where isolation could have led to resentment, and where silence from those around you could have inflated your ego or left you questioning your worth. He tested how you carried yourself when no one praised your efforts, how you responded when your integrity was questioned, how you reacted when you were overlooked, and how you treated others when your own heart felt drained and weary. Allah observed whether hardship would turn you into someone cruel or someone compassionate, whether delay would create entitlement or deepen humility, and whether being unseen would harden your spirit or encourage reflection and resilience. You could have allowed anger, pride, or ego to justify your reactions, yet you chose restraint, self-awareness, and dignity, even when it felt heavy or lonely. Even when your heart ached, you guarded your tongue. Even when you felt wronged, you resisted injustice. Even when exhaustion pulled at your patience, you strove to remain kind, principled, and aligned with Allah's guidance. This is not accidental goodness. This is the shaping of divine character, and refined character is one of the rarest, most treasured qualities Allah cultivates in His chosen servants. Allah elevates people based on who they are, not merely on what they accomplish, because achievements without character collapse under pressure, and influence without humility becomes destructive rather than transformative. These tests were not meant to break you, but to prepare you, to ensure that when honor, recognition, and blessing arrive, your heart will remain intact, unspoiled by arrogance, and your soul will remain steady amidst attention and praise. He tested whether power would corrupt you before it was granted, whether recognition would inflate your ego before it arrived, and whether hardship would reveal ugliness or wisdom within your soul. Every time you chose humility over ego, patience over impulsivity, reflection over retaliation, you passed a test invisible to the world, but fully witnessed in the heavens. Allah values this immensely because character determines how blessings are carried, how influence is exercised, and how leadership is honored. It ensures that divine favor, when it arrives, will not overwhelm you, but will elevate you with responsibility, grace, and wisdom. What is coming into your life cannot be trusted to someone whose heart is fragile, inconsistent, or easily swayed by circumstance. And these trials were shaping you into a servant whose principles remain unwavering, regardless of pressure, difficulty, or recognition. By protecting your character, you prove to Allah that ease will not spoil you, success will not intoxicate you, blessings will not distance you from humility, and elevation will not lead to arrogance. This is why Allah refines the inside before He transforms the outside, because when the heart is disciplined and the soul is sound, divine favor becomes sustainable, leadership becomes responsible, and blessings do not turn into a trial. Your endurance, integrity, and steadfastness have not gone unnoticed. They are recorded in the unseen, strengthening you for the responsibility, influence, and divine purpose that lie ahead. The world may never fully see the effort it took to cultivate this level of character, but Allah has, and He is preparing to honor it in ways beyond imagination, ways that will reveal that these months of hidden trials were not setbacks, but the very foundation upon which your elevated life will be built. Chosen one, never underestimate the power of a heart refined in silence, a character strengthened through trials, and a soul that remains connected to Allah no matter how the world treats it. For this is the essence of what it means to pass the highest form of examination, the test of character. Chosen one of the most profound tests Allah placed before you over these months was the challenge of sincerity in action, the call to continue doing good when no one noticed, when no one acknowledged your effort, when your deeds seemed invisible, and when the world offered neither recognition nor appreciation. Allah watched closely to see whether your actions were truly for Him or for validation, for His pleasure or for worldly acknowledgement. Because the most sacred form of worship and service is that which is performed when the eyes of creation are blind to it. You continued to help, to give, to support, to encourage, and to act with kindness, even when your heart longed for gratitude and your spirit felt unseen, knowing that the reward might never come from the people around you. Each act of generosity without applause, each moment of patience without recognition, each word of encouragement without reciprocation was a test of your inner sincerity and a demonstration of your alignment with Allah's vision rather than the world's. Many would have stopped, given up, or sought validation elsewhere, but you continued because your devotion was not transactional. It was spiritual, it was intentional, and it was anchored in faith. Allah allowed moments where it seemed like your efforts were unnoticed, where silence replaced thanks, where rejection replaced acceptance, and where fatigue replaced joy, not to punish you, but to separate those who act for reward from those who act purely for His sake. This test was meant to cultivate within you a level of selflessness and spiritual maturity that only the chosen can attain, teaching you that the ultimate satisfaction does not come from the applause of people, but from the quiet approval of Allah, whose record-keeping is perfect, whose knowledge is infinite, and whose reward is unparalleled. You were tested to remain humble in your service, to avoid pride, and to resist bitterness when your good deeds were overlooked, because Allah wants those He blesses to act from a heart of integrity, not ego, from love, not expectation, from faith, not attachment to outcomes. Every unseen act of kindness, every silent prayer, every effort done without acknowledgement was recorded in the unseen and multiplied in reward, shaping you into someone capable of sustaining true goodness without depending on external validation. This test refined your intentions, purified your heart, and revealed your unwavering dedication to Allah, demonstrating that your actions are not motivated by recognition, but by devotion. You have been trained to operate in the hidden, to work without applause, and to give without expectation, because the highest form of worship and the most powerful acts of faith often occur away from the spotlight. By continuing to do good when the world seemed blind, you proved that your connection to Allah is not conditional, that your love for Him surpasses all distractions, and that your deeds are rooted in sincerity that cannot be measured by worldly eyes. This level of spiritual discipline and integrity is rare, chosen, and divine, because it is the foundation upon which true elevation is built. The next phase of your life will require actions that are larger, responsibilities that are greater, and influence that extends beyond what the eyes of creation can see, and Allah prepared you through these tests to carry it with humility, sincerity, and unwavering devotion. Every act done in secrecy now becomes the cornerstone of your divine favor. Every moment of patience now amplifies your spiritual power, and every silent sacrifice now multiplies your reward beyond imagination. Chosen one, you passed this test not because it was easy, but because your heart belongs entirely to Allah, and actions rooted in such purity are the ones that open doors that cannot be forced, that bring blessings that cannot be stolen, and that sustain elevation that cannot be shaken. This test was the refinement of your soul, the calibration of your intentions, and the preparation for a future where your goodness, your patience, and your unwavering faith become the instruments of transformation, not just for yourself, but for those around you, and for the world Allah has entrusted to your care. Chosen one, understand this profoundly, for it is a message meant to settle deeply within your heart. Every trial you endured over these past months, every moment of silence that felt unbearable, every test of patience that stretched your soul, every unseen struggle that weighed heavily on your spirit, and every hidden act of obedience performed in secrecy and with sincerity, was part of a chapter meticulously written by Allah Himself, a chapter designed to refine, purify, and prepare you. And the conclusion of this chapter is now near because you have passed in ways that the world may never fully comprehend, but which the heavens have witnessed completely. These months of hidden trials were not meant to punish, to break, or to keep you stagnant. They were meant to shape your heart, solidify your character, and cultivate within you a level of resilience, patience, and faith that only those chosen by Allah are blessed to carry. Every moment of confusion, every delay that felt unbearable, every person who misunderstood or opposed you, every hardship that felt too heavy to bear, and every night of silent struggle was an instrument in Allah's hands, intended to strengthen your trust, test your intentions, and polish your sincerity until it shone like a mirror reflecting His guidance. You could have reacted in anger, abandoned hope, or allowed bitterness and resentment to take root, but you did not. Instead, you endured, persevered, and maintained your connection with Allah, even when no one else could see, even when nothing in your surroundings indicated progress, and even when it felt like the world had turned its back. Allah observed how you behaved in the unseen, how you persisted when it seemed easier to give up, and how your loyalty remained unshaken despite the absence of immediate reward or acknowledgement. Every act of obedience, every quiet prayer whispered in the depth of your solitude, every sacrifice you made without recognition, and every struggle you endured with patience and humility has now completed its purpose, and the unseen record of your faithfulness, patience, and sincerity is full and sealed. Passing this test is not just a personal triumph. It is a divine transition, a shift from a season of hidden refinement into a period where blessings, clarity, and divine favor will manifest in ways that will exceed your expectations. What was once veiled in confusion, delays, and unseen struggle will now be revealed with clarity and illumination. Doors that were previously closed will open, opportunities that were delayed will arrive, and connections that seemed impossible will form, all aligning perfectly with Allah's plan. This is the reward of passing tests meant to challenge not only your actions, but your intentions, your heart, your patience, and your unwavering faith, because those who endure unseen trials are elevated not by human eyes, applause, or validation, but by Allah Himself, who prepares their hearts to carry the weight, responsibility, and blessings of what is to come with wisdom, gratitude, and humility. Understand that the end of this chapter is not merely an ending, it is the divine beginning of a new season in your life, one that aligns fully with Allah's purpose, where every hardship, every patient moment, every struggle, and every act of faith you have endured now converges into manifestation, purpose, and elevation. Chosen one, the unseen has shaped you, the hidden has prepared you, and the visible is now ready to honor what Allah has already witnessed. The tests were never wasted, the waiting was never meaningless, and the struggles were never in vain. The next phase of your life will require even more courage, patience, and absolute reliance on Allah. Yet it will be different, lighter in doubt, stronger in certainty, and richer in blessings that were held back only until you were prepared to receive them. Every favor that arrives, every door that opens, every opportunity that manifests will now come coupled with the maturity, humility, and spiritual strength that these tests cultivated within you. This is the divine truth of unseen tests. They elevate not for recognition, not for applause, and not for temporary satisfaction, but to prepare a heart capable of carrying eternal purpose, unwavering faith, and profound responsibility. Chosen one, rejoice quietly, reflect deeply, remain humble, and walk forward with unwavering trust, for the chapter of trials is ending, and a life written, designed, and prepared by Allah is unfolding before you, ready to honor every unseen effort, every silent struggle, and every sincere act of obedience that brought you to this moment. The test was real, the refinement was intense, the patience was sacred, and the outcome is now certain. You passed, the chapter is ending, and the next season of your life is divinely aligned to manifest every blessing Allah had prepared for His chosen servant from the beginning. Chosen one, take a moment and let this truth sink into your heart. You were tested, refined, and prepared in ways you could not always see. And now, by the mercy and wisdom of Allah, the test is complete. What you endured in silence, what you overcame in private, and what you persisted through without recognition has positioned you for blessings, elevation, and purpose that are far greater than anything you have imagined. Remember, these months were not punishment, they were preparation. Your patience, sincerity, character, and faith have passed the highest form of examination, and Allah has marked you as someone He can trust with divine responsibility, guidance, and favor. Do not fear what comes next, for it is a season written by Allah Himself, a season where your unseen efforts will be revealed, your quiet struggles will bear fruit, and your connection to Allah will guide every step you take. Stand tall, remain humble, continue to seek Him in every moment, and embrace the next chapter with confidence, gratitude, and unwavering faith. Chosen one, you have passed, you have been purified, and the doors of divine favor are now opening before you. Stay vigilant, stay patient, and stay connected, because what Allah has prepared for you is greater than what you can see, and your journey has only just begun.